I don't know where he is. But...
Okay, we'll see what happens.
All right. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 10:06 a.m. So roll call. Zach filled it out, but I'm just gonna read everyone's name out. I see myself, Blaze. We have board members in Zoom random order. We have Ariana, Tuck, Zach, Kat, Desert, and Phoenix. And we have Executive Director Arlene here. And we have community members, Victoria, Cinder, and Mary. Thanks for coming. Reminder, I'm kind of have an agenda here, so if you have questions and stuff, feel free to use the chat, but generally we try to have questions at the end of a section. And if I forget to ask, please interrupt me and let me know if there's something to talk about. And without further ado, I also want to ask if we have any other items we need to add to the agenda quickly. We've been meeting frequently, so I did not spend a ton of time on this agenda, but if you have any specific points that are not covered in our routine structure here.
I have a suggestion. I don't know if it's covered in these, but volunteer recruitment. I want to check in.
Oh, go for it, Zach. All right. Volunteer recruitment, check in. Any other topics? Okay, we can always depend at the end. So I guess we have an agenda now, and we need a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion.
Second. All right. Any further discussion on the motion to approve the agenda? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All against, say nay.
Aye.
All right. I recognize majority here. The motion passes. Great, we have an agenda. So what's next on there? So I was unable to locate the meeting minutes for the last meeting. I do not recall if those got sent out or not. Does someone else remember it better than me? And if they don't exist, we'll just approve at the next meeting.
I remember Zach sending them out, but I don't know where they are. And they were in kind of a different format than I was doing.
Yeah.
I tend to take meeting minutes directly in line in the previous agenda and did so last meeting and then shared that. And I don't know, I haven't gone looking for them. And so I don't know exactly where they are, but we can dig them up.
Yeah, that's kind of mean if we're not asking earlier. But we will get those out. So nothing to approve there. So should we do our volunteer recruitment check-in, or should we do our other ones first? So next point of order.
I think it'll be quick. I can do it now.
All right. All right. I recognize Kat. Take it away.
So we were going to have a meeting about kind of our volunteer processes and things like that, and it kept getting pushed off for a variety of reasons. So I am down to take the lead on scheduling that if folks are interested and want to see who would like to participate. Because I know volunteer recruitment was one of our big goals for this year, and we got to revisit it.
Thanks, Kat. That would be super helpful. And I'm down to kick it with you in that space.
Arlene, we lost.
Arlene,
yeah.
You might just have to go closer or something. Kat, I was going to ask for clarification. Is this about processes, or is this about actually doing a volunteer drive, or both?
I think it's initially about processes, like looking at any changes that need to be made in the Google form? How do responses from the Google form get routed to the appropriate volunteer lead? Like stuff like that before we do
Yeah.
a volunteer, like actually recruitment effort.
Okay. If we had like an initial like effort, so that we're leading up to, that'd be great too. Like maybe it's
Yeah,
Northwest
so-
Fest or I don't know, but
we can talk
yeah,
about
I'm down
that.
for that. Yeah, I'm down to be on that and
Cool.
dredge up whatever we have from the past. All right. Anything else on volunteer recruitment? All right. Sweet. And so I believe that was Blaze, Cat, and Riley. Yeah. All right. Sweet. So I think we're gonna roll into our normal contents. Starting with Arlene and program. and stuff.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. It is like it seems to be an internal microphone issue that I like don't understand or know how to resolve. So just let me know if it goes away. So I'm going to start with Flowshop update. Flowshop is outside a little earlier than planned for normal, but the space at Yesler Community Center is thank you is no longer available to us for the summer. They decrease their hours over the summer months, and so they close at 7, which means that it doesn't work for what we need. And Gary was like, yeah, we can talk about September when we get closer to then. I am a little bit paranoid about not having a space because see every meeting for the last like 4 months about finding a space for Flowshop. So I'm not really sure what I want to do there or like what's best. I do believe, or it's like theoretically possible that Finney is still available, and we could reserve it in advance. And that might be worth it. I do like the time better at Finney, even though there are some things that are nice about Yesler, including that they were giving it to us for free. There's some things that I like less about Yesler. So yeah, I'd be curious at some point to hear people's thoughts on that, if other people have feedback around what they think would be good to do. But for now, we are back at Volunteer Park, and there were like 24 people there on Tuesday. So people are pretty stoked that it's back outside. But dress warmly because it's the Northwest in May. It's still cold. Cat prefers Yesler for accessibility reasons. Yeah, the location I do think is better, especially for people who don't have cars. And people who have cars obviously have an easier time. Like it's easier to take a car some like wherever as opposed to someone who doesn't have a car. So that's one of the considerations. But yeah, Flowshop's still going well. I still love it. I would like to have more workshops. I don't know if anyone is interested in helping with workshops. I think I'm just sort of like finding myself kind of, there's too many things. But I do think it'd be great to have workshops back at Flowshop. There is also, this is like not quite Flowshop, but it's sort of related to Yesler. There is still an idea that we could do like a monthly programming of some sort there over the summer, just to like keep the relationship. It wouldn't be like a Flowshop thing. It would probably be more of a like I don't know, like one of the things where maybe we have like juggling, poi, and hoops, and there's like short lessons for each one, something kind of like Flow Arts in the Park style, but at Yesler. So I think that's something worth pursuing. I don't know if there's anyone interested in helping to coordinate that, that would be useful. But that is an idea that I think could be cool. Blaze.
So just to clarify, when you say you need help with workshops, is that the booking or the coordination or the hosting or all of that?
Like,
It sounds more like a mental load thing than a like finding
it
people
is
to
a
teach.
mental, yeah, it's like a mental load thing.
Okay.
There's just like so many other balls that I'm chasing around that adding extra steps to Flow Shop has been not happening.
Yeah. Oh, great.
Um,
Okay.
so
Thank you.
yeah. Um,
Inquiry.
yes.
So was there a answer to the question of what would be most helpful for you in support around Flowshop?
There wasn't a specific answer. Yeah. Helping with booking, yeah, helping just to like recruit people and say, "Hey, like do you want to do this?" Uh it's like so it's like not that hard. I just yeah, I'm just like not doing it and yeah.
Welcome back from vacation.
Thank you.
Gotcha.
I'm
So you
working
would
on it.
appreciate people talking to potential workshop instructors and sending them your way to make it easier.
Sure. Yeah, or encouraging people to fill out the form. The form for workshops is now both for Eastside Spin Jam and for Flow Shop. And kind of like if people also just want to teach like a pop-up workshop, like, oh, I don't want to teach at one of these, but I'd love to work with SFAC to do a workshop outside of those times. That's also totally an option. Um, yeah, so any support with workshop coordination would be rad. Yeah. Are there other Flowshop questions or queries? Okay. um, this says Spin Jam, and I'm gonna take one liberty and talk about Seattle Spin Jam, and then offer the floor to Tori to do an update for Eastside Spin Jam if she is into it, or I can do it for you if you're like, oh my God, what? That's fine.
I got that.
Okay, great. So for Seattle Spin Jam, there was a question about like, I see you're in the chat, Cinder. Thank you. I will reach out to you. Actually, would you reach out to me? Would you send me an email that says those words and we can figure out how you can help? That would be great. I am on board. Yay. Thank you. Yay. Okay, great. Seattle Spin Jam. I sent an email to Selene earlier this week to ask if she was like just like what her thoughts were on Seattle Spin Jam for the summer, because that was a low-key plan, was Seattle Spin Jam will stop and then maybe come back in the summer. She isn't wanting to be a full-time host, which I think is great because she did full-time host for a very long time. And yeah, so kind of the vibe is like if there is someone who wants to take a lead on there being a Seattle Spin Jam, that is as ever something that we would be happy to support. Um, and we don't have that right now. If someone were willing to kind of take the lead on that, then Selene is down to be a part-time host, depending on like timing and things like that, of course. And I'm down to offer support in the ways that we are supporting Eastside Spin Jam currently, like having things on the website and doing some of the event management and stuff. So that is where that is. So I think for the time being, it's going to be Flow Shop in Seattle on Tuesdays and Eastside Jam on Saturdays. in Bellevue. And I think that's great. That's the Seattle Spin Jam update. Does anyone have questions or thoughts about that? Zach has a finger.
There we go. Sorry, the button didn't click the first time. So I was thinking about the fact that you need support with Flow Shop, and Spin Jam needs to have more hosts part-time to like fill in and stuff. And it feels like this is our, one of our big volunteer needs is people to fit into these slots for these ongoing events. And like maybe what we're aiming for is like 4 people, so they each have once a month hosting responsibility as volunteers for these events, and then like they each get to have their own little thread, because I think that once a month is something people can commit to. I think twice or more, it starts getting a lot harder, right?
That is
And that's
part
just
of it.
kind of like, maybe that should be one of our recruitment targets for volunteers.
I think that's a great idea. I think we also want someone who is the lead for coordinating all of that stuff, who is not me. Because that's like I think part of the reason that Eastside Jam has been so successful is that Tori has had the capacity to really take the lead on like managing all of that. So like, and she also does social media, both on her private socials, and helps create a post every week on SFAC's socials. So it's not a lot of effort for me to support that program. So it's not just the host, it's also having someone in like an organizing role for that. But I agree that it would, yeah, more spin jams is more spin jams. And I'm into that.
It just seems like definitely there needs to be a like point of contact for a team to you. But it seems like a pretty low bar for involvement. Sorry, I was like trying to think of the right way to say it. But like, it's not a big responsibility or a big like time commitment to take it once a week or once a month rather.
Yeah.
In a way that everybody who's been stepping into that role has been kind of trying to fill it in a like every weekend for every month of the year context, which is not something most people want to do, so I think that like thinking about it as Spin Jam committee with a point person that comes back to us, even though the committee does very little besides, I mean, not very little, but like there's not a lot of committee business per se, but like there's a group of people that is what they're doing, and they can have recruitment role after we do some volunteer recruitment, which is the step before it, I think. But yeah, it's kind of taking a different approach than this one person identified with the program approach, right?
Sure.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. I'm into it. Tori, do you want to talk about Eastside things?
I would love to. And sorry if there's crackling in the background, I'm cooking. So since January, we've averaged about 16, a little over 16 attending. Some days we have a little bit over 20. We've sometimes had up to 23. We are now courting a larger space in Bellevue at 5,600 square feet for the same price. So the conversation right now is promising because the manager for that facility is a retired clown. So that's really helpful. She's very excited about the idea of us being there. And it's not much further away from the Seattle folks. Arlene and I took a look at it, and I think at worst it was maybe an extra 5 minutes driving. So good all around. We received the grant funds, I heard, which is also very exciting. I'm super happy about that. And our monthly workshops are on track. This month we have Cinder on the 11th for Levy Wand. Y'all should come to that. And it's just been awesome because we're doing different props every month. The diversity that I wanted is happening, which is exciting. The one thing that I'm thinking about for the jams, just to help maintain some of the success that we've had, as we move outdoors, the speaker, the audio equipment that I have that I've been providing is not the highest quality and has definitely made a dip into the ocean a few times. And so I was curious about the potential, given that we've received the grant funds, and right now I don't think we're costing anything for the year, if it would be possible to pursue some audio equipment for the summer months when we're outside, just so that we can continue to like provide music and atmosphere that will keep bringing more attendees. And then I will continue to follow up on that space. Hopefully we will have that in October. So working on that with Bellevue right now. But yeah, that's my East Side Spin Jam update. We're doing great.
Can you repeat the update about something with audio and outside? Because I think my connection's a little not great today.
Okay, yeah. So with the moving outside, we'll be moving outside after Folk Life. I have a little tiny JBL speaker that I've been using when we are outside. It does not carry noise that well, sound that well. And so I'm looking for something that would be a little bit better for projecting music, just so that we can continue to provide the atmosphere that makes flow so fun. So if that is something that we could potentially look into, getting some equipment for the event, that would be awesome, especially since I know we're not costing anything this year. Give me your money.
Desert.
Yeah. Hey, Troy, can you take a look at what you think would be appropriate? I know we have like a block rocker, right? But maybe it's not the most portable thing and you want something more portable. Something that we can kind of price out and get an idea of,
I would love
the kind of
to.
cost that you're talking about.
And if there was a number that you could throw at me so that I could be reasonable, what do you think it would be?
I might
Feel
go
free to get
I
back
have
on that too.
I have no idea what a reasonable speaker for what you're talking about the ballpark would be, right? Let's start the other way. Why don't you take a look at what you think is appropriate for the space that you're looking at and hit us with a proposal.
All right, sounds good.
Cool.
And then back on the note of what Arlene mentioned about having someone be sort of like the facilitating guidance for jams. One of the things that does come with that, it's at least a few hours of labor every month, just between making social media posts, setting up the schedule for people to co-host, soliciting that information, and setting up workshops. And so one thing that I think might also be helpful to consider is potentially a small stipend for people in that role. So right now I am doing a lot of this for free and I have the passion for it and I'm happy to be doing it. But if you're looking to fill roles like that for both jams, that may also be worth looking into.
Is my mic back?
You're very quiet.
Recording in progress.
Let's hit your hot mic. There you go. Just adding my own 2 cents here. Having a Bordeaux speaker sounds great. Having more than one would be reasonable, given that they're on different sides of a lake. We should figure out what that looks like. I mean, just like the JBL party box that I carry around is like 250, maybe. We might even get it donated if we put a call out. So I think we could totally find something in the budget for that. We should figure out how heavy this damn thing should be, because that's kind of an important consideration in the shopping.
And great. And regarding stipend, that is something that has been brought up among the board already. So we have to see what we can afford. This year is, well, yeah, we're gonna do some money stuff here in a moment, but we have to make sure we don't go broke. But in general, I think there is, I don't think I'm speaking too out of turn here to say that there is a general desire to like compensate people where we can for contributing. But yeah, just also have to make sure we can afford it first. Anything else for ESJ?
No, I think that was it. And thank you for considering those proposals. I will come up with something a little more solid on the speaker front sometime in the next few days.
Dope. Yeah, it does make sense. Yeah, and I use the block rocker every Tuesday, so yeah, it would be a pain to share it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait. We have a block rocker, we have the boom box, and then we have the bigger outside speaker, right? So we have 3 sound systems, yeah?
The boombox is my personal system that I
Ah,
would
gotcha.
prefer to
Okay,
not use.
cool.
And I have a terrible update, which is that I do not know where that speaker is, the big one.
The one for Fire Jam?
I
Okay.
remember seeing it when we
All right.
did the move from the storage unit.
Okay. So we should definitely get with the producer and figure out what happened to the speaker, yo. Okay.
Yeah, that's a, I don't know if that's because
Mm.
the last Fire Jam, the last time it was used was Northwest Flow Fest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and I'm confused about how we could have possibly misplaced such a large, heavy object.
Mm-hmm.
But that might be on me, and I don't know. So we'll have to, yeah. If anyone has that in your basement for some reason, if you could let me know, that'd be great. Sorry.
Good to know. Now we can figure it out.
Let's move on. Fire Jam. Ariana, do you want to do a Fire Jam update, or I can do it if you don't want?
Why don't you do it? I'm not entirely sure.
Fire Jam update. Right now, for 2024, the only Fire Jam we have planned is the Northwest Flow Fest Fire Jam. It will hopefully be happening at Volunteer Park, but it will not be happening at the Seattle Asian Art Museum. And we are in talks about finding a way to compensate the producer of the Fire Jams to make that more sustainable for that crew. And then it will be sort of a surprise surprised to see what happens. I think there's a sense that we could have like a few fire jams this year. There is again a pretty significant cost consideration for all of this. Because yeah, if we're going to compensate people for producing it, we also have much higher insurance costs because we are going to have to purchase supplemental insurance for the fire jams. And that also is, because of that, we've been having conversation about like wanting the fire jams to have a higher production level with like DJs. I think it'd be cool to have lights and stuff. And obviously all of these things cost money. And is the juice worth the squeeze to spend like $1,000 on a fire jam? Is like a real question. Because $1,000 on a fire jam is a lot of money. And it's not necessarily like we shouldn't do it because it's a lot of money, but it is like, again, is the juice worth the squeeze? So that's kind of where it's at. It's sort of in like a little bit of a purgatory spot from my perspective. But we're still engaged. We're just trying to figure it out. Again, a lot of this is going to be connected to the budget. And like, do we have money from other places? Do we have money in reserve? Are there grants that we are not aware of that might come in? A lot of question marks, not necessarily a ton of clear answers at the moment. Is there anything else anyone would add about Fire Jam?
I guess I could add, so we are hopefully doing Northwest Flow Fest at Volunteer Park, but as always, we are trying to find different venues. So if people have thoughts on that, that would be great.
Yeah, venue is one of the big challenges. Anything else there before we talk about Northwest Flow Fest? And maybe we also, can we add Cascade Juggling Festival? Okay, and since Jack wrote it as number 4, we're going to talk about it next. Cascade Juggling Festival is upon us. It is in 2 weeks from today. In 2 weeks from today, we will be in Bellingham juggling. It's going to be awesome. I know you're like, oh, Bellingham, it's like so far away. It's not. It's only 90 minutes. It's like a short drive. It's beautiful here. There will be some opportunities to like, we're trying to find like housing accommodations and things like that, to help out with that, like camping style in people's yards kind of vibes. So, it's going to be, we're doing this in conjunction with the Bellingham Circus Guild and also with the Cascade Jugglers. So it's a very cute little 3 of us group making it happen. The festival itself is free, and there's a gala show on Saturday night that costs $20 to attend, and that is how the event will be paying its instructors. And it's going to be like, it's like a really stacked, it's like a pretty stacked lineup. So come and tell your friends because it's going to be great. Does anyone have questions about Cascade Juggling Festival? Ladies?
Is anyone working photography for this thing?
It's a good, that was cute. It's a good question. I forget the answer, and Richard is in the other room. Maybe David, question mark. Is anyone doing photography for Cascade Jugglers? David. Yeah. Yeah. Um, sold more tickets than we have. Oh yeah, did you have a question about Cascade Blaze? Okay.
You're dropping out a little bit, but yeah, go on.
I hate it. Okay, so or what are we talking about? Northwest Flow Fest. We have sold more tickets at this point than we had at this point last year. So that is awesome. The ticket prices across the board went up by $5 for 2024. So I think this is going to be great. I am super excited. It's very heartening to see ticket sales already being positive. And I think that bodes well for the growth that I'm hoping to see. I think we had 180 registered workshop passes last year, which includes instructors. And I'm hoping that we have over 200 this year is my goal. We have the $2,000 grant from For Culture is earmarked for Northwest Flow Fest. And yeah, hopefully we make a little profit on this. Again, we have actually made a profit on Northwest Flow Fest the last 2 years. And so I'm hoping that that will continue. I'm going to set up a meeting with Ariana and Cassandra in the near time future to get that going. Promo for instructors is going to start tomorrow. We are in social media calendar hell, which is special. It's like every single day has something planned and it's like particular every day. So, but it's going to be great. Like, share, comment, always. Thank you. And yeah, if there's, I don't know if there's like random stuff that y'all think would be cool to do at Northwest Flow Fest, you know, hit us up, say what you think would be cool, and then we'll say if, and then we can talk about it. Are there any a prop circle photo?
I was gonna ask, like, I know in the past we've talked about like a press kit for nonprofit in general, but this seems like a great opportunity to get free marketing for Northwest Bow Fest. So I was wondering like how far away that would be, like how much work, because like we already have the calendar, right, for socials. So can we just take some of that and then send it to Seattle Times? That would be amazing.
I had talked to Natalie about trying to figure that out and forgot about that. And then she has been caught up with the show. So yeah, although now yeah, I would revisit that. I would also, I'm curious if there's capacity within the 3 of us producing it this year to put something together is also possible. Yeah.
Might be a way the volunteer thing too, if people can write or do marketing for some reason.
It can be a volunteer
Right.
thing. It just, yeah, it just needs to be someone
Yeah,
with
it's hard to,
specialized
someone needs to drive
skills.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Glad I reminded you.
And I think that's it. I don't know what summer fire jams means
we
separate
talked
from
about that.
other
So
fire
yeah,
jams. Yeah.
can be leave it. Cool. That was a lot. Thanks, Arlene. I know that's you have been spent like a whole week paging everything back in after coming back. Bravo. So next we have finance and administration, and after that we have anything else basically. So I would like to hand it over to our esteemed treasurer to fill us, I see, okay, to fill us in on how it's going.
Hey y'all. Yeah, so between the last board meeting and this one, I became treasurer. We have uh, started and almost completed the migration of hiring a professional bookkeeper to help us get our books and tax filings uh, all straightened out and, in line with just best practices for bookkeeping. So part of what that means is in the sheet that I'll either share if anyone else who has a better connection than me can do a share and show the spreadsheet for the budget, that'd be great. Otherwise, I'm happy to throw it up on my laptop. I'm not sure how visible that's going to be. Any volunteers? All right, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Here we go. Let's see how it look. Oh, look, Desert was looking at what's in the press kit. Okay. I don't know if anyone can actually see what's on the screen right now. Yeah, looks okay. Okay, so a couple of things. This is really condensed. I'm trying to give as much information in as little space as possible. For those who have never seen our budget, we maintain a budget where we have the estimated budget for the year based on previous history. And this is my first time presenting it. So Phoenix, you were doing this last time. If I miss anything, or Blaze, feel free to speak up and be like, hey, Desert, you forgot this thing. So what we have here is just the top lines. We can drill down if we really want to and look at things a little more closely. But at just the highest level, we're pretty much in a good state with our expended revenue and expenditures for Q1. So this is all for Q1. So that's January till the end of March. So a couple of quick notes, things that aren't in here are like the $2,000 that we got in January for Northwest Flow Fest for last year. That's against last year's books, even though the revenue was received this year. Also, the revenue for East Side Spin Jam was received after March 31st. So it'll be in the budget for Q2. Okay, so that's $2,000 revenue and $5,000 revenue that aren't a little more than that, but not accounted for in these numbers. Okay. I don't particularly have a desire to go through this line by line and read what everyone else can read. That's not how I like to do presentations. I'm hoping with the condensed view that everyone can take a quick glance, and if you have questions, ask them. Okay. While you do that, I'm gonna just talk about a couple other things that are semi-important to the responsibility we have as board members. We are now all caught up on all of our taxes that we're behind. We also have one more thing we need to sort out. Yeah, big breath. Ooh, yay. We are also, there is, Zach, you have a hand up. What's up?
Just a quick clarifying question that's maybe more for like everyone else's benefit than my own. This is Q1, so we are looking at when we're looking at that percent actual. We're comparing that to 25% being how far into the budget we're looking. So we have spent right on track at almost 25%, right? And our revenue is lagging a little bit behind 25% of our prediction.
Exactly. So if you look, for example, right here at this total revenue number, 21%, that's what we have so far in Q1 versus against the total estimated for 2024. So all 4 quarters. Right. So we're lagging a little bit, but the reality is in the next, we're going to have at least 7,000 more. But what ends up happening is the percentage of 21% is based on 11,000 income, right? So really, if we want to reach 25%, this number needs to be closer to whatever that math is, probably like 13 to 1,400. So even if we get that 7,000 for Eastside Spin Jam, and there's another document I'll show in just a moment that shows revenue and expense by program basically. And this is one of the new views we've never had before that is a result of getting the bookkeeper and upgrading our QuickBooks. We can now do by class statements. Okay. So let's see, what was I saying? I was saying, oh, we're all caught up. We have one more thing for Kindle from 2022 that is impacting our 2023 tax filing. That filing is due in 16 days. I did have more exchange with our bookkeeper on Friday, and I do believe we'll be able to sort it out and get it filed on time. And even if we can't, we have the option of filing an extension, which is, pretty much a formality, which would give us more time. But I'd like to just do it and get it out the way and not on my plate anymore. I see Arlene's hand up.
I am in support. I also want to make sure that the board has time to review the taxes before they're submitted.
Absolutely.
Cool.
I think that let's agree on what a minimum time for that review should be, though, right? 5 days seems like an awfully long time, but maybe 3 days is reasonable. Maybe 5 days is needed. Can I get a temperature on 3 days to review before we have to file? This is whatever. This is yes. This is no. 3. Okay. Any objection to 3 from the rest of the board, whose video I cannot see right now? Like Ariana. There, I see you now.
No objection. I'm fine.
Okay. And Phoenix, because I imagine you're going to be the one besides Blaze looking the closest, honestly. As having
I'm good.
this
It
role
just
before.
depends on which day of the week it comes in. If it comes in on a Monday, it would be a little harder than if it comes in on a Thursday.
All right, cool. Well, let's see what happens. Hopefully we can squeeze it out. If we have to push it, we can. Okay. Let's see. Any other questions about what is on the screen right now before I move to the other report that kind of gives the breakdown by program?
So I had a question. How are we tracking donations that come in on like January 2nd? Have you worked with the bookkeeper to resolve that?
So if it came in on January 2nd, depending on whether those funds were earmarked for a specific program in a specific year or not. For example, the funds for Northwest Flow Fest for 2023 came in January of 2024. That's not counted towards our revenue for 2024. It's counted towards the report for 2023, which never got regenerated to include those additional funding. But within QuickBooks, it's manually adjusted. So if you generated a new report for 2023, you would see those funds there.
Okay.
Yep.
Good.
But if it wasn't earmarked for a specific program for the previous year, you'd see it in this report.
So I guess more concretely, if they gave to the end of year 2023 donation campaign, it's earmarked for 2023. That's my common sense understanding of it.
Well, not really, because our general contribution funds, like the campaign, we only have the one campaign well, we have 2 campaigns, but only one is really used within, say, our Give Butter platform. That's not counted against a specific year by the campaign because we never spin up a new campaign, which is something we could be doing, but I don't. We need to, we need to have we're going to have a general budgeting meeting in the next week or two to review our budget in view of some of the things that we've talked about on this meeting, right? Like stipends for producers, the fire jam, right? We need to adjust our budget a bit. Especially since, as you can see at the bottom here, we are running at a deficit already this year. Now, some of this doesn't, like, we assumed 6 fire jams, and the fire jams are the most expensive program we run, and we haven't had them to date, right? So this negative number is probably not quite accurate in the long view. Yeah. Other things that have kind of popped up, we have expenses now. We had taken on the additional financial burden of Eastside Spin Jam, but fucking Spin Jam went out and got themselves funded through grants. Like, really, the reality is, if anybody wants to spin something up, the model, like almost the golden model at this point to me, which the golden model usually is like the example of the best practice, would be Eastside Spin Jam. They got started, got motivated, got themselves funded. Sweet. Like, couldn't ask for anything more than that to me from a financial position. I don't want to sit on. I could talk about this all day, y'all. I've had a lot of fun with this over the past few months, but I know I'm not the majority and find this stuff interesting. So I'm gonna pop over to the next quick view. We can get an idea of programs. Okay, here we go. Boop. Nope, that's the wrong one. Boop. Nope. Okay, hold on, y'all. Give me one sec. There it is. Okay, it's this one here. And really, this is the one I'm really the most excited about now. So hopefully y'all can see what's on my screen. It might be not quite fitting. Let me see if I can make a quick adjustment. There we go. Yeah, it's still not all gonna fit. Okay, so if I scroll down, that's pretty close. All right, so in this view, this is a statement of activity. This is basically every money transaction that has occurred in Q1, and it's broken down by fundraising, and then by programs, and then by each individual program. So for example, we mentioned Eastside Spin Jam. That's currently, because of the venue cost, and Flow Shop doesn't have a venue cost, has a total expenditure of so far $2,000 for the year. Now this, of course, again, is going to be offset by the grant, but we can now see what the revenue and expenses program. Okay, and this is going to continue to get tightened up. Northwest Flow Fest at the time of this report in Q1, $275 in revenue from ticket sales versus the $960 for the permit, right? And then we had one workshop, etc. Are there questions about how to read this document? No. Okay. Cool. Oh.
What's the workshop?
So we had one workshop, and that workshop was Samwise and Eastside Spin Jam. And yep.
Wouldn't that be under Eastside Spin Jam expenses?
So we can make that adjustment, absolutely. We can, instead of putting workshops as its own thing, we can put workshops as part of whatever jam they're attached to. Would that be
That's
a better view for
probably
you?
more helpful.
Yeah, that's how it's
Okay.
written in the budget for
Okay.
those programs. And I
Okay.
think that there is a potential that there would be like one-off workshops that aren't associated with the program. I think would make sense to go in this just like a general workshop category.
Okay. Cool. I'll make that adjustment. Let me grab a quick note here.
Thanks.
Give me one second. Yep.
My other
I'm gonna note
question,
it now, or I'm totally gonna forget it.
sorry.
Go ahead.
My other question on that particular line of workshops is we don't have a payout to Samwise from that anywhere.
Oh, I have that number, and I know Arlene does too, so we can give that to you.
It's this number right here.
Oh, it's over there,
Does that make
independent
sense?
contractors.
Yeah, this right here, this workshops is still under development with the bookkeeper. Like they don't
Yeah.
inherently know how to set this up. And I missed that they had this over here, but this over here. So I'll go back through
okay.
and I'll have them adjust that. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Nope. Totally. Nitpicky and weird. Thank you.
Nope. That's exactly right.
If any of the departments need nitpicking, it's this one.
Oh, you all know I love the details. Let's get into it. I'm down for that game. Okay, cool. So then we have to be allocated is this one over here. And this is really, in order to do this the way that a nonprofit typically does. And again, thanks to Kat for kind of helping give me some information from the nonprofit perspective on this specific report and how she's seen it done before. We want to keep our admin costs as low as possible. Everything that we do should, as much as possible, be allocated to supporting our programs because that's what the nonprofit's really all about, right? It's about creating programs, supporting the community, etc. So from that perspective, any money we spend not against the program is an admin cost. And when you're talking to grant foundations, that's one of the things they look at. How much of your total expenses are going towards your programs versus your administrative costs, right? And I know this isn't a thing for us so much because we're all heavily invested and committed to the community, but that's one of the things that you look at because nonprofits can be run poorly and most of the grants can be spent on admin, which is not the way it's supposed to be, right? So I heard earlier Arlene said that we have a profit off of Northwest Flow Fest. Nonprofits get to make a profit, but what doesn't happen is that profit does not pay out to people. It pays back into the programs for other programs, right? That's the nonprofit model. So these to be allocated are really just expenses that either monthly or annually get broken down. For example, Arlene's time. Arlene's time is spent on various tasks. And as an org, we already track all of that. Arlene does a really good job of, I spent this much time on this thing, on this thing. So eventually, Arlene's, the salary will be broken down against each program. Does that make sense for everyone? So we shouldn't end up with much to be allowed to be allocated. And then a new category will be created called admin. And that's where we'll see our admin. Even our storage fees will be broken down by some rule of thumb. You know, how do we allocate, you know, the storage fee is like mostly spin jam, right? Or mostly fire jam, right? So maybe 60% of the storage cost is allocated towards that one program, and the rest is maybe admin or some flow shop because we store some flow shop stuff there. Does that make sense to y'all? Any questions? I see some chat. Let's see what we got in chat here.
Mostly enthusiasm in the chat.
Great.
I do have one
Awesome.
question about if we did stipends to Fire Jam,
Mhm.
Spin Jam people, Is that admin or is that program cost? Or do you know Zach is shaking his head for program costs.
It's totally program costs.
Great. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anything, essentially anything that has a direct or justifiable indirect cost in support of a program is a program cost. Right. And
Okay.
there's really no like, I haven't been able to find any real hard and fast definitions, right? And we aren't nearly big enough to be audited yet. Be a good problem to have. All right. I can't see any faces when I'm doing this on my laptop. So I'm going to stop sharing unless there are other. Oh, I see Jack, but what's up, Zach?
Oh, I just wanted to touch on indirect versus direct costs, right? Typically, what you can consider an indirect cost are things like a PO box. A PO box is not something that can be directly connected to a particular program, but it's necessary for us to have a mailing address. If we had an office, that would be something that would fall under an indirect cost. Indirect costs include things like our tax filing and paying the bookkeeper. You know, those are the kinds of things that get put into that category because they're not something you can kind of directly attribute to a program in like a logical way, right? Like you could proportionally be like, well, 45% of the bookkeeper's time is spent on processing donations from this program, but that's not like a really feasible way of describing that.
There is one
There's the exception.
Yeah, is Kindle probably if we can allocate
Exactly.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
Kindle is our exception.
Kindle, the bookkeeper specifically, they have a directive to track their hours of SFAC versus Kindle. So we'll see what that is next week. Okay, because as a fiscally sponsored program, they're kind of in a different bucket than our other programs. Okay.
Oh, can I add
Please.
something? Yeah, this is really great. And I think one other thing that could be helpful for the financial reports, I don't know if you're about to do this, but having the statement of financial position as well, which is a report that bookkeepers can run. It's kind of like what are bank balances and stuff like that. Yeah, go ahead. You have that or
We do. We have that. Let me grab that real quick.
okay. I just didn't see it in the
we'll
agenda,
throw it
so
up.
I wasn't sure.
Give me 1 second. The other thing, because we are our own for the board, when we took on the expense of the bookkeeper, we assumed a certain budget for them. So far, that budget has been consumed at an alarming rate. One of the expectations was that we would pay for our own QBO. And instead, what's happened is we're paying for it, and it's $30 more than we were paying before. An option exists to move fully into the bookkeeper's QBO, which removes all of our costs. But then we don't have access to anything. We can't run reports. We can't look at expenses. We can't do anything directly. We have to request stuff from them. So long term, maybe that's something we need to consider. Near term, I'm super not comfortable with that just yet. There's too many things that we're still sorting out together. So yeah, I have that. Unfortunately, it's on my desktop at home. So I'll send it out. It was, oh no, wait, it's right here. It's right here. Yeah, no, it's right here. Hang on. Let me share. In that same document, actually. It's just a different tab. Hang on. I've got it. Here we go. It's statement of financial position. Bam. right there. There it is. It's in here. It's in with the living budget. We have the statement of financial position, which breaks down all of our assets, our bank accounts, all of that stuff, our investments, etc. Speaking of investments, and I'll leave the board to view this as you like. Keep in mind that as a fiscally sponsored program, the account for Kindle is mixed in here as well, but it's technically not our funds, right? We do have two investments, two CDs. One of them just matured last month, the end of last month. Yeah, right here, this one. It just matured and we got, $60 in interest, give or take, and it automatically went for a reinvestment. Because I missed it, I didn't have this date on the calendar. So both the original investment of the $5,000 plus the $60 interest acquired. I can't remember the exact verbiage. Went back in.
Accrued.
Okay. Accrued. That's it. Thank you. So the financial position, the standard statement of activity, all of that is in here, although it's going to be slightly off because I did not have time before since getting back from vacation till this meeting to generate a brand new report for us. And there's been, like I said, more movement with the bookkeeper. Desert, did you find out on receiving the donations through Microsoft? Not yet, Tori. I still have to look into that. I've been gone for about 2 weeks. But here, let me grab that note right now. Arlene?
I would be curious to see a statement of financial position without Kindle's dirty money. Not like right this
I
minute,
mean,
but like
yeah.
just so there's an idea, just so to have that, because I do really, the statement of financial position is the one that is for me the easiest to like. I mean, it's the statement of our financial position, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, if there could
Right.
be one that has
Well,
them, has just us without them, that would be helpful.
I mean, subtract 13K from that one, and that's your answer.
Okay, great.
It can't be generated automatically because that account is tied to our account.
Yeah.
But subtract the balance for that one account, and that's what you're looking for, right?
Okay, so that means we
Does
have a
that make sense?
pretty, yeah, so we've got a pretty hearty amount then in our reserves at the moment.
Well, here. Well, here, let's dig into it a little bit. Let me bring that back up for you.
Thank you.
Okay. So in a financial position, if we look up here, if we remove the Kindle, which is this line right here, right? So if we take B11. So there's what we have in reserve. And that includes all of our investments, all our liquid assets.
Wait, B65 is already minus 13,000 from Kindle, is it not? It's right
Oh,
at
yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I already built that in. Sorry, I forgot I did that already. I figured someone was going to ask, but I did this 2 weeks ago and I forgot.
Feeling when you're like a little too clever to like grasp what you did for yourself.
Cool.
Okay. Dope. Okay, great. So I stand by what I said. We've got a pretty healthy amount in our
Yeah.
reserves. And I think it's great that the thing reinvested. I was going to suggest we reinvest the CDs.
Mm-hmm.
or
Yep.
even consider putting
Yep.
in a little more, to be honest, but we can talk about
And
that.
that's the thing, you know, this I think that maybe that's not an unreasonable position and should discuss it more at our budget meeting. And when I get back, I'll put out some more communication about finding a time for those who are interested in the topic to get together. Okay. Zach?
I just want to express gratitude for both, all the work that Phoenix did on being treasurer, and now all that you've done, putting this spreadsheet together with all the little tabs of all the little statements and all our little numbers, because it's impressive, and I know what it takes to put all that together, and so I'm like, applause. Thank you, Desert.
Aw,
Want to
thanks, y'all.
recognize you there.
Aw, love that. Also, this scratches a very particular place in my brain that makes me so happy. Okay. Can I
It
be
takes
done?
all kinds, right?
Word. Word. Arlene, hang on. Arlene gave me probably one of the best compliments that I have received, maybe in my life. And I'm wondering if Arlene was like, oh God, what did I say? But it was, you all know, as much as we're all fire artists, I'm more math, right? I don't have a deep artistry in me. But Arlene said, Desert, thanks for using your brain to help us make art. And that put me in tears, y'all. I loved it. I loved it. Okay, now I'm going to stop talking.
Thank you, Desert. I also will say I'm super, super appreciative for introducing some brain and order into the money. So time check, it's 11:18. We have a few more things to go over, maybe. So I would like to move on to those. What's left on here? Updates on insurance, if applicable, as well as Kindle, if applicable, and also marketing and development, if there's anything to say there. We didn't cover all of it. Desert, did you have something?
I have a couple updates on insurance when we're ready.
Okay. Do you need a glass of water? Are you ready? Sorry. I'll parquet out to you. Haha. All right. Tell me what's
Okay.
up with fire insurance.
So fire insurance really is a DBA, and I have, I think, everything I need to do the DBA. I just want like a formal, yes, Desert, file the DBA from you, Arlene, and Kat, because as the three founders, you're listed as the owners with 0% ownership. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'm gonna go. You all saw the form. I collected all your vital information. Thanks for getting that to me. I'm gonna go through our portal and file the DBA electronically once I get home. And once we do that, we'll then have the Seattle Flow Arts Fire, whatever the name are,
Fire Arts Collective? I don't remember. When you file it, let us know what you
And
chose.
once we have that in hand, I'll go back to Dale with Pete and we'll get the actual policy written, and then we'll have that expense. And what we need to decide as an org.
You're breaking up, by the way. I think it's something with bandwidth. Ooh.
Was that
Is
just
there
me
one-
or is that everyone?
Hello? Hello?
I'm back
Yeah, you
now. I
kind
think
of,
Zoom just crashed. Or
it sounds like you're low on bandwidth. So if you turn your video off, it'll
I'm
probably be fine.
yeah. I'm hotspotting at Country
That's
Fair
that's
from Country Fair right now on my cell phone. What I was saying
brave.
was that I couldn't find a Wi-Fi cafe around. Um, what I was saying was that that expense for the annual insurance, there's only the annual option, and it's about $2,600. So, with where we are with the fire jam right now, do we want to have that expense for possibly a single event, which the only one we're looking at is Northwest Flow Fest, right? Because we have our normal our commercial policy, which Seattle has accepted. We want the additional coverage. And do we want to pay that? And this isn't something we have to decide right now. We'll look at our budget, but just something to think about. Okay.
Can't hear you, Arlene. You're on mute. Oh, okay.
So that's all. That's the insurance update.
Thank you. Like I said, when you file a DVA, let us know what it, I know what it remembers. I like it. So we kind of talked about Space Hunt update. Is there anything else we needed to go here? I mean, maybe other events or
We are always 100% of the time looking for venues. Just like 100% of the time, if you like see a venue, you can email me about the venue. And yeah, because Seattle is a rough country for people like us who don't have a bajillion dollars, because the events, we're producing events that are by and large free for the community to attend, and most of the venue spaces are not supportive of that. So if you ever find something, ever send it to me. Chances are decent that I already know about it, but that's okay. Just send it to me and it's great. Thank you.
all right. What's next on here? It says Kindle MOU revision. It's kind of going on right now. I just want to say that we are talking with the directors to get this year's contract written out and signed and all that. There's been movement on that in the past few days, and so kind of figure out what's next on that. But it sounded like Arlene and Randy possibly gonna take that on, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, although I am a little bit like, yeah, if
Go
someone
on.
else has like extra to work on that, I would accept it. But yeah, basically the idea is that like one person from SFAC, one person from Kindle will just write an MOU draft, because right now we have just like a lot of notes. Desert might need to be involved in that, specifically for writing out. Desert wants to, that's great, because we also need your brain specifically for the finance pieces of that, because some of the sections are like, we need to update what the finance things are, and I think you're the guy. So yeah, that'd be swell. Do you want to say words?
Also the insurance aspect.
Hmm.
I reviewed all of the notes and feedback, and I have some thoughts. So
Chill.
I'm down whenever. I was planning to call Randy on my 5-6 hour drive home on Sunday and just rap with him about everything, because we do that, and I'm sure it's going to come up. So I'll
Cool.
chat with him, and then I'll chat with you. And then we'll all chat
Okay.
together.
And then we'll all chat. That sounds so nice.
Yeah.
Even though it's about a contract.
Meh. Friends though. Even Randy though.
Mhm. I am happy to provide editing support. I should not be the counterparty, however, at this time because I'm still going through divorce business and I hope it ends soon. Just in there.
Great.
Anything else on this topic? We have several offers of support. That's great. Oh, what do you have there, Arlene? We didn't talk about this guest to our board meeting.
Her name's Ryokyo. I adopted her in
Kyoko.
Japan.
So cute.
I love her.
Hell yeah. Let's go.
Like Rirakuma, but cute. Okay.
Kawaii.
Kawaii. Yes. So our last points on this document, marketing / outreach and development and board stuff. I know what I'm gonna say.
Marketing exists. It's great. My goal is to do a newsletter a month roughly. It helps every time there's a workshop is really helpful. So thank you, Tori, for scheduling workshops because I like to always make sure that every workshop is included in a newsletter. So that helps to like poke me in a meaningful way to get those out for the rest of our programs. Our MailChimp cost went up by like $6 a month because we have 6 more people than 500. And I find that annoying. I'm trying to figure something out about that because that bothers me. It's like literally 6 people. Anyway, Blaze.
Is that an extra 500 people we're paying for?
I believe,
Or like
yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
So
it's metered per 500.
yeah, we're metered at 500 and we have 506.
I propose you delete accounts that never open,
Yeah.
or you find another 400 people.
You could also check if any of them are bouncing but are still included in that number, and then
Yeah.
remove those.
Yeah, I just need to sit and go through and see what I couldn't find like any initial like when I went in and looked the other day, I couldn't find any like and I didn't want to just like randomly like, oh, I don't know this person, I'll delete them. That seemed like not the method to use. So yeah, I'm gonna keep looking into that. I also might look into they have like pay per email sort of programs. So you get like but I don't know the language, but you know, you pay for like 10,000 cents basically rather than paying like a monthly fee and something like that. Yeah, it might make more sense because of the like inconsistency. Like we're using this at most once a month for the most part. But I would need to like actually price it out and see what it would look like. So I'm spending some time in the MailChimp land. Uh, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, just trying to make sure we're paying only what we need to pay there. And there will be a newsletter soon because there's a workshop soon. Oh, I guess it's going to be this week. Expect a newsletter this week. Yeah. Social media is, like I said, we're in like our most intense social media season for the year. With Northwest Flow Fest instructor announcements. I'm doing something a little different than what I did last year, and we'll see if it's more annoying or less annoying or the same. We'll know in the future. Thank you, Tori, for putting up with me caring about the grid because it's annoying to care about that, but also it looks really bad if you don't care about it. So I do. As ever, always open to media oriented people helping with media oriented things. So if you're in this room and are like, hell yeah, you can let me know. Yeah, it's annoying to care about the grid, but yeah, but it, but you gotta, especially when all the posts are like look the same. It looks so, it's like really upsetting to look at it when it's not organized. So yeah, I don't know. I think those are like the marketing things. Yeah, and I'll try, yeah, and I'll also circle back with Natalie about talking about a press kit. I don't think we got even to like pricing and stuff. We were both kind of in a place of like, yes, we want to do this, and this is not the moment to have this conversation. So I'll circle back with her after the Cascadian Creature Show this weekend when she will have more of a brain again. Zach.
I'm not sure if it would be a useful resource, but in the course of my day job, I encountered a service called taproot.org, and Taproot connects nonprofits with people looking to volunteer their professional abilities in a variety of different ways, including consulting on marketing plans and outreach plans and strategic action plan development and like a lot of other things.
Is that Taproot Foundation?
Yeah, the taprootfoundation.org. I'm taking a shot at using it right now, and I don't know how useful it's going to be. I haven't really talked to anybody who's made successful use of it yet.
Okay. But
So
it
I don't know.
exists and it's
It
possible.
might be a good tool, it might not.
Okay.
But it could be a place to like get some of, to ask a professional about ways to streamline some of these things, or like ways to make them more effective if we want that help, right?
Cute. Ariana?
I'm going there for marketing help right now myself, so
Yeah.
hopefully it'll work.
Catchafire.org is another one that does that kind of stuff that runs, I've seen in my tech circles posted.
Catch a
Fire?
fire.
Yeah, all one word, .org.
That's on brand for us. Please.
Can you repeat that one again so I can write it down in the thing?
Yeah, catch a fire, one word.
I've used that a little bit. It's good.
I was gonna say, examples that you like are always really, really helpful for this sort of work as well. So if you see a press kit that you really, really like, just take it and change the words and pictures to be your press kit. That's what we did for the website as well. So if you see one you really like, we should look at it and see what resonates.
I agree.
Maybe someone will do it even. That would be great.
Yeah.
Knowing what you want's important.
Yeah, and I know Cassandra has one. I'm sure she would be happy to. She's done them for other FlowFest events in the past, and is like a marketing design person.
Need to learn her command of the all caps tone, but
Oh my God.
it's so good.
I know, I love it. This also made me remember that we have a website. Thank you for saying that word, Blaze. There's some updates. There's some of it just like, I just think it would be nice to like refresh the images and refresh some of, just to kind of, it's been 4 years, right, since we built that and since we chose the images and everything. And there's also incorrect information under our programs tab about Spin Jam because it is wrong. Which is an easy fix, and Desert and I have a plan. I'm just going to write something. That one's easy and short, but yeah. Desert?
Yeah, also just realized that in the apply to teach, because I might be doing that, we're talking about just what's with the faces, y'all? It's been a while, but it's like only applying to Flowshop in the website, so we're gonna have to update that page. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that needs to get done on the website. Yay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. We'll do it. If anyone gets
Yeah.
on a hair to either help, like with anything, like with any one piece, like the pieces that I see, Desert is our webmaster for like actually doing the updates. I'm sure he would accept someone else helping with that. Desert is not our webmaster. I don't know what the word webmaster means. You're the person who has been updating the website when we have.
I think that the biggest thing that we need is if people can look through the website, identify things that need to be updated,
Yeah.
and if you're willing to write the update. I prefer that no one try and go in and use
Oh,
Cornerstone to try and update. It breaks everything. I'm happy to do the actual updates, but the content
yeah.
updates, that would be like huge. Because right now, really, that all falls on Yar. And that's just a lot.
Yeah, and it's also it's why it doesn't happen is because it's like non-urgent, and when I'm like
Yeah.
going through and figuring out like what are the things I need to do this week, updating the website is like not one of them unless someone like Cassandra sends me an email and is like, hey, the Northwest Flow Fest information is for last year. So yeah, so the three tasks that kind of exist that other people could do are, yeah, looking through, just like clicking everything and seeing like, oh, this person's not a board member, oh, this is like only whatever, this is wrong. uh if anyone wants to write copy for me to approve, I would accept it. And if anyone has images that they're like, I think these images could be updated and that these would be rad ones, that's like another piece of yeah, those are like three things that could happen. Zach, would you write those three things? I don't know if you did because I'm not. Oh, you did because you're taking our notes. Yeah, because those would also be good tasks that we could put on like a volunteer, like they're discrete tasks that a volunteer could do who isn't necessarily in this room.
I saw the comment, Cinder. Thank you. My mind's kind of blown that we don't have that there. I put that on my personal list to we need to do that. I really
Yeah.
want to see that Discord. Like ESJ is killing it with the use of Discord, which makes my heart real happy because it's the only platform on.
If anyone has experience with setting up a Discord, because I want to like clean it up and there's a bot that I want to get rid of, I think that is possible to do. I could use that help. Because I just have like basic experience.
This is great. Kat, would you mind writing down or noting somewhere for when we talk about volunteer things to review the notes from this board meeting? Just because there have been a lot of good discussions about like specific volunteer needs, which has been, I think, one of our ongoing hurdles.
Yes.
Thanks. Wow.
When we're done here, I can take a run through the minutes and highlight locations where we mentioned volunteer activities. And that way you can just scroll through and find them in the future.
Thank you.
Well, we're nearly to the end here. Are there any updates on development and donations? I haven't heard anything personally, but
No big updates. I mean, as you can see from the financials, we do need to focus on fundraising and are seeking donations and grants all the time, as much as possible. I do have some work to do to go back and look at some of our potential grant prospects. And I think Arlene said she had one she was looking at. Do you want to talk about that? Can't really hear you.
I'm just making mouth shapes. I forget what it was that I said. I know you mentioned in some other meeting or had it noted that it was an ArtsWA grant, and I believe that whatever that grant was, we are not eligible for because we received some other grant from ArtsWA. So that one's out, unfortunately, for us. For Culture has still not, like, normally we would have already applied for grants from For Culture or like would know what's happening for their grant season. But with the legislation that passed, they're still not caught up, which is kind of unfortunate, but that's how it be. Hopefully there's more money available and hopefully we're eligible again, because most of For Culture's grants, they will only let you apply for one grant per year, or like if you receive it, then you're not eligible for other grants.
And we're in year 2 of a For Culture grant, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we might not be able to apply,
And yeah,
but we should check.
yeah, still check just to like
it's a good for
verify.
24, 25. Yeah.
And yeah, and I think that they will have that. And then I think it's worth some discussion about like how do we want to do that, because some of their, like, having the 2-year like guaranteed funding from them is great, but it was also like a lower dollar amount than some of the other grants that they offer. So it might be more worthwhile to, now that we know that that's how they operate, to apply for the single year ones rather than the multiple year ones, unless the number is higher. Yeah. Z also sent me one that's maybe being offered by, I think, like the Seattle Pride Foundation. I don't know if that's actually the name, but it was related to Seattle Pride, that it looks like we could be eligible for. There's a couple other things we should consider. I forgot to mention way earlier that we are doing Pride again this year. Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, that was really fun last year. So I'm stoked about that again. Um, so yeah, if y'all see grants out in the world, and sometimes they're like, it's not always like the city of Seattle or whoever. Sometimes it's like companies offer grants. Sponsorships also could fall in this sort of category. So just things to be thinking about. And we still have not heard back from the Paul G. Allen Foundation grant that we received last year and applied for again this year. But I bet we hear back soon. I think they said sometime in May. Yeah, we have not heard back. And just a quick note on donations, we did actually, like, this morning or late last night, receive a substantial donation from a community member. So hell yeah. Really appreciate that. And yeah, we will always say yes to your money. Thank you for supporting us. This is what it supports, is like all of these programs and fire jams, and the cost of making all of this happen does add up quite a bit, pretty quickly. So Desiert.
The Community Accelerator Grant notification is by May 31st.
I think that's the Paul G. Allen that's the Community Accelerator, right? Yeah. Dope.
Well, the last thing I wanted to say is that this year's conflict of interest form is out, and everyone should fill it out if you haven't. I'll top post the thread, but yeah, we should do that. That's all I got about board stuff right now. You haven't, yeah, and that.
I was just gonna ask if there's been any progress on any board recruitment related activities. I know we had a list from last October to pursue, and I'm just curious if
this time.
anyone's cool.
I'm just gonna start talking. You know, when it comes to board recruitment, volunteer recruitment, we don't have a lot of engagement actions right now, right? Like we've got ESJ and we've got Flow Shop. And that's really the engagements that we have. So when we're talking about volunteer recruitment, you know, we've got to, I don't know what to do, but we aren't going to get new volunteers if we don't directly engage with people, with that being the purpose of the engagement, right? So maybe that needs to be a big topic for the meeting the cat's going to be put together. Like, you know, our volunteer appreciation for last year, I don't think ever happened. The year before that it happened, but it was pretty small and focused, right? So I don't know. I don't have a solution, but I don't see us being able to fill those without something that's driving that engagement in a pretty big way.
Yeah, I agree. I think part of the plan for that is like a marketing campaign. And yeah, and like yeah, and having some sort of event, but I think that's stuff we can flesh out in that time. Tori put a question in the chat about scheduling with Eastside Jam, and if Seattle Spin Jam comes back, would they be planning to switch back to Sundays or how that would work? Ultimately, question mark, because we don't know who those people are, etc., etc. My personal preference would be for Eastside Spin Jam to stay on Saturday because it's been on Saturday, and I think that it should stay on the day that it is. And Seattle Spin Jam hasn't existed for, or hasn't been happening for whatever period of time. So that's like my, and I don't want them to be on the same day.
That was my question. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that that
Okay.
would be weird and kind of counterproductive. There's like enough people who are going over to Bellevue from Seattle. It feels weird to me to do that. So yeah, so that's
I'm always looking
that's
for
what I
something
would
to
be
do.
pushing for.
I'm always looking for something to do on a Thursday.
I'm not.
I'm like never available on Saturday anymore, so it's like Sunday sounds great to me. My little flag.
Yeah, maybe Sunday. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see how that develops. For hosts and we can't find them, then maybe it's much ado.
Yeah, and that's
You know?
yeah. Previously I have not had I was trying pretty actively for like a year and a half to find a host for Seattle Spin Jam or someone to like take the ropes on that, and was not successful. And I tried like many different avenues. So I'm not like anticipating that someone all of a sudden is going to be like down to do all of that. That could be wrong, obviously, but yeah. Can we make a note, Zach, in like the volunteer area? Cinder suggests member at large positions could be a great way to bridge the gap and get people who want to be more involved to shadow in order to learn the ropes. I think shadowing is not a word that has come up in our volunteer discussions, and I think it's a good one.
I'd love some understanding about member at large positions. What is that?
Hi. So in my experience, in like different nonprofits, there's a great like sort of segue in between board members and volunteers who are just more active. A member at large role is not an official board position, but it's people who show up consistently and they kind of get more voluntold in different positions, like delegation. You can rely on them more heavily for things, and for burnout, it's really nice to have those people that you can say, so this is how I do this, and I can sit here with you and kind of demonstrate how this goes, and just have people there to have that extra backbone of support. And if they wanted to be board members at some point, they could, but it's kind of a nice segue.
So in our bylaws, I believe, and documentation, member at large is actually a board member. They're just not one of the officers. We at some point, I think, established, but haven't really used, an advisory council position, which I think is what you're talking about, where someone would not be an official board member, but would attend the meetings and like participate. But I think in our bylaws, a member at large is a board member officially. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But we can definitely develop something like this, I think, or pursue this.
Understood. Thank you for the clarification.
Yep.
That's the clarification I was going to say, is what Kat said. So I'm hand down. Bye.
We, if I like, we could, as an org, like, we never talk about the advisory council, right? There was like one consideration, the history of our org, and I think that's largely because people don't know it exists. Like, do you want to be more involved but not necessarily ready to be a board member? Maybe you are.
I think of the advisory council as something different. I think to my understanding, the advisory council would be like Livy, like people in our community who have like specialized skills or insights that we would call on for their like perspectives in moments where we would need them, which is like different. It's like what it sounds like, right? They're not doing things. It's an advisory council. They're a group of people that we ask for help from and perspectives when we need them. I think that what Cinder's suggesting would be a separate thing. I still am really into the way that Kindle does their organization, like of the, like there's, and that was like, remember when forever ago I was like, I feel strongly about these being departments. This is like that same slow roll. I'm interested in having like departments, and then there would be like organizers, and then there's like, under the organizers there's like crew, and then people can randomly volunteer, but then so it's sort of like different levels of involvement or commitment that people could select into. Is how I envision it, and that's not how we have to do it, but that's like, yeah, I do think the advisory council is something different.
I just want to point out that the way we have it currently defined, the advisory council is somebody who is coming in and attending board meetings, attending committee meetings, is not a voting member of the board, but is there to be engaged as a board member would be, just not voting on things. That is the way it has currently been designed. And so if we want it to mean something else, we should build that structure and also have a new name for this thing where somebody is a non-voting board meeting attending person. Does that make sense?
I put what our bylaws currently have for it in the chat for everyone. Arlene is right. The way that I read this, it's providing expertise or professional of a thing. And what I hear Cinder talking about is something a bit different, that we don't actually have figured out or an official position. You know, I think we think of those as leads, but I like this idea a lot. And I think we should put some time in one of our open or closed sessions against it, discussing it a little bit more. And time check, we have 2:30 left, and I've got a hard stop, y'all.
Yeah. Time check. 2 minutes till noon. I think that means we're done. Are there any other member comments or announcements or public comments or announcements that remain? Last call. No.
Keep
All right.
rocking,
Well, in
y'all.
that case, keep rocking. I agree. This is very heartening. I would like to move to conclude this meeting. Is anyone else similarly minded?
Moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion on the motion to conclude our meeting? All right, seeing no discussion, all in favor say aye. All against say nay.
Aye.
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 Aye. All right, the ayes have it. Our meeting has concluded. Please stop recording.
ER, when you have a sec, can you upload the video or send me a link to it, and I'll